Psychotherapist Dr. Robi Ludwig joins us now to help break down some of these headlines. Dr. Robi, good to have you with us. So let's start with this study into how biodiversity can boost our mental health. So this means, let's break it down, wild spaces with things like wildlife and water are better for our mental health than more man-made places like parks. So why is that, and what should those of us who maybe aren't lucky enough to live by a national park do to still benefit?
So this was a really interesting study. It was done in London, and it looked at about 2,000 people over a 65-month period of time. And what they found was when they interviewed people over time, people felt mentally healthier when they were exposed to biodiversity, trees, birds, water. And when people are connected to nature in this way, they have a sense of joy and they have a sense of purpose and required less mental health services. We're feeling less depressed and anxious. And this study was also looking at, instead of people going to nature when that isn't always possible, how can we bring nature to urban settings to create a mentally healthier environment, and also an environment that helps people feel connected to the well-being of the earth, recycling more and caring more about their environment. So I really like this one because it's thinking about urban spaces and including biodiversity into urban spaces, which is not typical.
Interesting idea, and I still think a park gives me a great boost when I need one. All right, let's talk about Halle Bailey,
Yes.
star of The Color Purple and The Little Mermaid. She's the latest celebrity to open up about her battle with postpartum depression. She opened up on her Snapchat about some of her struggles. That's encouraged others to open up about their challenges. In fact, there's a study out of Johns Hopkins says up to 85% of birthers will experience postpartum blues. So where does this stem from, and what should someone do if they do feel some of these symptoms?
Well, I think it's so great, first of all, when celebrities come out and talk about some of the challenges that they have, especially with postpartum blues or depression, because it highlights for women out there who might be isolated to know that they're not alone. They may be experiencing crying more than usual, feelings of anger or worry, withdrawing from loved ones, feeling distant from your baby, doubting your ability to be a good mother or care for your child. And this happens from a lot of the hormones that have dropped after childbirth. So there's less progesterone and estrogen, and also sleep deprivation in terms of differences in sleep-wake cycle can leave a woman feeling very vulnerable. And their life can feel out of control. And it's really important, if this lasts for more than 2 weeks or more, you're having these symptoms, to go and talk to your doctor and see what you can do sooner rather than later. Because if left untreated, it can cause more ongoing problems with suffering from depression. So it's always better to be aware. And when celebrities share their stories, it's the power of story sharing. We know that it's more on the normal zone, and that you know, there are things we can do to help ourselves.
Glad we're openly talking about that. Finally, let's quickly talk about one for our avid Wordle players, including myself and many Morning News Now team members. MNN, Morning News Now, has not actually been one of the words before. But some therapists reportedly saying the online word puzzle is becoming a problem with patients. Help us keep our perspective here. This is supposed to be fun, right?
Yeah, well, our brain loves solving problems, and we really feel good when we find the answers. And there's this idea that it's really good for our cognition and staying sharp when we play these games, and part of that is true. But there's also an addictive component, because every time we feel good and we share these things on social media, our dopamine levels get excited, and we want to chase that high, that happy feeling. And people are finding that they're not doing what they need to do. They're getting kind of absorbed into this game. And the recommendation is to realize any kind of technology can suck us in and forget time and forget what we need to do. So to put a time limit on some of these games, even though they're fun, they can be very absorbing.
Yes, and remember, if you don't get the Wordle, it's okay. Let it go. Just have fun with it. Dr. Robi Ludwig, some fun topics this morning. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.